The knife is a Spyderco Para 3 in S90V with carbon fiber handle scales. I picked this up from River's Edge Cutlery. I had been waiting for this to come out, looking forward to it. The Para 3 in crewware was so good, it was executed so well, that I wanted to see if this one would be on par with that as far as how well they made it. And it is. I'm extremely pleased with it. S90V is a tool steel made by Crucible. It's a stainless steel with extremely high wear resistance. The carbon of S90V is about 2.3, the chromium is 14, the moly is 1, the vanadium is 9. What you've got is, with S90V, you've got an extremely high wear resistant stainless steel with relatively good toughness given the wear resistance that you're getting. The chromium's kept at the minimum for a steel to be considered stainless at 14%. And with S90V, it favors the formation of vanadium carbide, leaving chromium free in the steel matrix for corrosion resistance. Consequently, S90V has corrosion resistance on par with 440C, but higher toughness than 440C. What you hear about S90V is that it's chippy or brittle, but you got to think, you never hear that about 440C. People don't talk about it like that. And S90V has a higher impact toughness than 440C. S90V's impact toughness is close to D2, very close to it. So, just to put that in perspective, I've never had S90V chip, and I've carried S90V for years, and I've never had an issue with it. When I got this knife, I sharpened it the night I got it, and I put it in my pocket and started carrying it. I carried it for several weeks, using it, not really paying attention to what I was doing, just carrying the knife and enjoying the knife. And after several weeks of carry, I took it out of my pocket and I checked the edge, and the edge was close to hair whittling. So I stropped it for 30 seconds on a 1 micron leather strop. And after that, it was hair whittling again. And this was like 2 weeks. 2 weeks of carry. So I put it back in my pocket and I kept carrying it. Fast forward to now, 25 days after getting the knife. And again, tonight I checked the edge and it was very close to hair whittling. So I stropped it for 30 seconds on a leather strop, 1 micron diamond compound, and the edge was back to hair whittling. It's a testament to the performance of S90V and its ability for edge holding and also for edge stability on a very small level. The ability for the steel's edge to keep in place. I mean, coarse finish and everything. So I thought it was notable that S90V, as far as edge retention goes, outside of a test, real world use, it really performs. I'm not going to say that S90V is a tough steel, because it's not. I mean, it's not 1095, it's not 3V, it's not on the level of those steels. But given the wear resistance you get, I mean, you are talking about 9% vanadium in the steel. So, but given the wear resistance that you get, the edge holding, the toughness that it offers is very good, at least as far as I'm concerned. I wanted to get some use on camera with the knife. I wanted to cut some stuff. So I started in on cardboard, and I didn't cut a whole lot, but I wanted to get that in a little bit. Fairly heavy cardboard, fairly large cuts, it was fine. After the cardboard, I moved on to zip ties. Again, just because when people talk about S90V, they talk about it being chippy, and I don't really buy into that. I've used it too much to really accept that. After the zip ties, I moved on to rope, 5/8 inch manila rope. I was working with that, and this knife is a little bit difficult to work with 5/8 inch manila rope with, just because the blade is so small. I mean, it's a 3-inch blade, so you don't have a whole lot of room for a large slice, but it was still able to deal with the rope just fine. It really wasn't a problem for me. After the rope, I moved on to wood. I was working with pine, and I just wanted to chew into a board for a while and just really get some use in. This knife is exceptional at cutting into a soft wood like pine. It really it really excels at that. I mean, given the edge geometry and the ergonomics of the knife, it really does a good job at it. And the wood just kind of, even with an edge that's been beat up, that's 25 days old from regular carrying and going through cardboard and zip ties and feet of manila rope, the wood just gives into the edge. The knife is really well done. The ergonomics are really well done. After all that cutting, I took a piece of paper and the knife was still able to cleanly cut paper. Not to say that the edge on it was still great, but it was able to still cleanly slice a piece of paper. When I see people say a knife is sharp and they slice a piece of paper, it doesn't land real high in my opinion. I mean, not based off that, and this kind of stuff is why, because I mean, I did a considerable amount of cutting, and what I had a few flat spots in the bevel, and even at that, and the knife was no longer shaving sharp, it was still able to cleanly slice a piece of paper. I needed to resharpen the knife at this point. I mean, I'm happy with it. I've carried it. I've used it. It's a solid build. I don't even have any lock stick, and it's just exceptionally done. And I'm really glad that I bought it. It's not as inexpensive as the Crewwear Para 3 was, but I feel like it was worth the purchase. So for resharpening the knife, I with S90V and S110V as well, I've got a pretty good routine down for sharpening that I tend to follow and really not deviate from. That routine will give me something like 25 days of extreme edge holding with, you know, 2 little 30-second sessions of stropping. I started with a coarse DMT. I worked with that. Went back and forth several times, apexing the knife, making sure, I mean, you know, because I was going through wood and zip ties and everything else and had flat spots in the bevel, I wanted to make sure that I had a burr formation across the entire length of the blade. I didn't want to leave fatigued steel on the end, not with a steel with 9% vanadium in it. After the course, I moved on to a fine DMT plate. This fine plate is new, and it's barely been used, and whenever you're dealing with that, you got to be a little bit careful, because new DMT plates, regardless of what rating they are, can eat knives. I mean, they cut so aggressively. So I was really careful with it and really taking my time. After that, I moved on to an extra fine DMT plate and worked with that. S90V isn't a problem with DMT plates. Not if you're with the way that I'm moving as aggressively as I'm sharpening. It really doesn't take much time at all, minutes. After that, I moved on to a Spyderco Ultrafine and worked with that. The Ultrafine is an aluminum-based ceramic stone that's extremely fine, but you've still got enough there for burr formation. It's a very small burr, and it's a little bit hard to detect sometimes, but it's still there. As far as I'm concerned, for steels like S90V, the Ultrafine is absolutely the right stone to finish with. After that, I moved on to a 4-micron strop, and I did a 4-micron strop on leather. I would normally do it on basswood, but I wanted to try it on leather. I was low on basswood, but I thought to myself, let's try a leather version of it. And it took me more time than normal with burr removal. I was using Gendy's 4-micron emulsion, and that emulsion from Gendy is very, very good at removing the burr. But I've really only done it on basswood, so I wasn't sure. I'm not sure if it was just a stubborn burr on the steel that was being difficult for me, or if it's really, you really see a better performance in burr removal with that 4-micron emulsion on wood. It might go either way. I mean, S90V isn't known for having stubborn burrs, but it can happen. Really, the low chromium steels like M4 or K390 or 10V, those are steels where that burr is stubborn most of the time. S90V, S110V, not so much. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't have a stubborn, I mean, you can have a stubborn burr on anything. But I worked with the 4-micron leather strop and removed the burr. After that, I moved on to a 1-micron strop on leather, and then a 0.5-micron strop on leather, and finished with a 1/4-micron strop on leather. S90V is known for being a steel that's difficult to sharpen and difficult to work with. I've spent a lot of time with it, and a lot of time with with S110V, and they're similar. They're similar in the ways that they're difficult. They're similar in the ways that they resist sharpening. I've really got it down with those steels to a science as far as how I like my edge to come up, and getting an edge that's extremely aggressive and extremely sharp. This knife in S90V came out so sharp that it was just blowing through the hairs. It didn't even want to whittle them. It was just taking them in half on contact. I had to work to get footage where the knife was able to whittle, and even more so, able to whittle over and over and over again over the same length of hair. I did get it, but I had to work for it. In fact, this knife was so sharp that it was able to whittle a hair both ways. Sharpeners who do that kind of the kind of sharpening that I do will know the significance of that. I'm extremely happy with the edge and the way that the sharpening went. It's exactly what I wanted from it, and I'm extremely happy with the knife. I think that Spyderco did an excellent job in executing this knife. And again, this is a case where I've really considered getting a second one just for long-term use and having the knife. I'm not sure that I will pick another one up, but that's how much I like the model and how happy with it I am. I think that Spyderco did an excellent job, and I'm glad that I picked one up.